Archibalds, 2 Archibalds, and an Archibald.
Hello, and welcome to day 11 of our 12 Days of Archie series here on Draw Lose or Draw. Today we're going to look back on our 4-2 win at Tynecastle, which secured Premiership survival in the 2013-14 season. Enjoy.
The first day of Christmas, when true or good to me, 5 Archibalds, 4 Archibalds.
To start, here's James Cairney with his memories of that night in Gorgie.
Yeah, I remember, strangely enough, going into the game, I was feeling incredibly confident. I didn't really have much of a worry at all. I just thought that because Hearts, obviously they'd had the points deduction that year, and they just never really got going, obviously. And I remember going into that game thinking like, it'll be fine, it'll be a total scoosh, no bother at all.
Here's Marc Wallace with a bit of background on that game.
I love this game. This is my favourite ever Thistle game. This it really is. Like, it's better than the Morton game. It's better than the Queen's Park game. This for me, absolute utopia. I just remember meeting my mates for that and thinking we can get a result, because we went to Tynecastle and we beat them in January. It was like the first week of January, and we won 2-0. Lyle Taylor scored and Aaron Taylor Sinclair scored. Obviously they were already down because they beat us 4-2 at Firhill but get relegated because I think St Mirren got a result. So like, we needed to win. If we won, we would stay up, because they changed. I think Mark Ridgers made his debut for Hearts that night, and we were thinking, okay, maybe we can get something, and then Hearts take the lead.
Now Scotland international Callum Patterson opened the scoring in that game, which got the Thistle fans' nerves jangling.
Callum Patterson basically walks through our defence. Like, it's like Rory Hamilton, the guy that does the commentary now for Sky Sports, describes it as a wonder goal. It's like, the only thing I was wondering was, where was our fucking defenders? Because he dribbles right through them. Like, he goes on like a slalom and run, and like none of our defenders get near him. And so we're 1-0 down. You're thinking, all right, it's going to be one of the days. Lyle Taylor scores a lovely equaliser.
Here's Jamie McDonald to talk about Lyle Taylor and his importance to the team that year.
I didn't know much about him when we signed him. I knew he'd played for Falkirk the season before, but I didn't know a huge amount about him. But he arrived on loan from Sheffield United the first time we got him, and he was just a brilliant player. He was just a natural goal scorer, and he really gave his all for the team. You could tell he really did care, because some people say the loan players really care as much. They get game time, they go back, and then that's it. But he really did care, and he got some huge goals for us. I remember him scoring the first time against Hearts in the second game. He scored a double against Ross County. I mean, he obviously scored in that Hearts game. He was a good goal scorer, Lyle Taylor, and he was just a brilliant player. He scored that double against Aberdeen. He was just a player to watch that I really wish we got him in a full-time contract. The fact we were so close to getting him, it was just devastating that we never got him. You look at where he is now; he's playing for Nottingham Forest at a good level. So he's peaked later in his career than a lot of players, but he was a great player, Lyle Taylor, and I love watching him play.
All right, we're back in it. Danny Wilson scores a free header to put them 2-1 up at half time, and you're like, I can't fucking believe this is going to be all over after 1 year. Because we were 11th with the results, the way the results went. We were 11th at half time.
With Thistle falling into the drop zone by half time, it was Gary Fraser who produced a moment of magic to level the scoring.
Lyle Taylor scored, and it was disallowed, and then Gary Fraser, literally with the next attack downfield, scores that wonder goal. And I just remember we were behind the goal, up the very back at Tynecastle that night, right behind the goal. And then Gary Fraser get the ball laid off to him. He hit it, and I just remember thinking, oh my fucking God. It came out of nowhere, and it was like, I just remember jumping and celebrating, and there were coins falling out my pockets and everything, man. Like, pure delirium. You're thinking, oh my, that was when I sort of sussed, I think we're going to get a result.
Lee Mayer then scored a glancing header to put the Jags 3-2 up on the night.
I've got a lot of time for guys like him. See, like, just a good hand, the type of guy you want to bring it. Like, people rip the absolute piss out of John Hughes, good honest laddies, but see, sometimes you need good honest laddies in your team. You just need that steady hand on the tiller just to keep everything ticking over. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't think you can rely on it long term, but certainly short term, when you're in a bit of a situation like we were in at that time. Like, Archie brought in Lee Mayer to sort of steady things up with a couple of rookie centre backs who'd never played at that level before in Muirhead and Ballatoni. He brings them in, and you've got Lee Mayer coming in. And he's bringing that, and as well as that's bringing along Liam Lindsay as well, who was just coming through. He gets the goal to put us in front. I'm picking up coins off the floor that were in my pockets.
After running rings around Hearts all night, Callum Higginbottom finally got what he deserved, a goal to round off the 4-2 win and spark wild celebrations in the away end and on the field.
Lyle Taylor has an absolute raspberry a shot, and then Higgy follows it in for 4. And I just remember him running away with his shirt off, doing the full Ryan Giggs, twirling his shirt above his head, and the absolute pissing rain, horizontal rain, and we started singing Going Down with the High Bees, and all of Tynecastle joined in, and they started singing We're Going Down with the High Bees. It was amazing. I just remember walking out of the stand, and you know at Tynecastle you walk down the stairs before you actually get out onto the street, and it was pouring, absolutely hooring it down. I honestly could have done the Vince McMahon strut all the way back. It was unbelievable what a feeling it was.
That was game, yeah. Like you clearly see that. I think the Hearts fans at that point had recognised that they were down, and that Thistle were a better team on the day, because they clapped them off the field as well, and they clapped the Thistle fans going down the street as well. After the game, down the Gorgie Roads. It just shows you that they absolutely not begrudging it. The Thistle were the world victors there.
While many Thistle fans would have had to take the next day off work due to nursing hangovers, Kieran Ashton's next day was very different.
That was absolutely mental, and I think I stayed off school the next day. I don't know why I was off school. I think it was the May weekend that day. I don't know. I didn't stay off to have a fucking promotion session at my house. I was only 13 at the time.
On the Ribena?
Aye, on the fruit shoots, because Thistle stayed up. But I remember just staying after school, just watching that game over and over and over again.
This match might not be looked back on with such fondness had a little bit of luck not gone the Jags' way in the first half, as Marc Wallace explains.
But the thing about that that's almost completely forgotten, seeing the whole euphoria that night, see it 1-0 to Hearts in that game, Billy King misses an absolute sitter. Like, he's through one-on-one with Gal, and he manages to stick it up near me, the back of the stand, and if that goes in, it's game over.
It shows you that offside goal as well. Taylor scores. It shows you that at that point, when that was ruled offside, a lot of teams would have just let the heads drop when you got back in it and you got offside.
Oh yeah, the heads easily could have dropped there.
They had the bit between their teeth, and they were like, "No, we're doing this," and immediately just went back up and scored a. There was
a real togetherness. Like I would say we probably kept a lot of that team together too long. I mean, some would say we still have absolutely flogged the arse out of it. But the togetherness of that team was unbelievable. At a time where the quality in the Scottish game was a wee bit down, but we probably get more mileage out of that than we had any discernible right to get. But the sheer collective of that group, I wouldn't be totally against that team going into the Hall of Fame in the future, because it was a special collective group. They were 9 points behind in March with 3 games, even with 3 games in hand and a better goal difference. You still need to win the games. We did it. nobody gave us a chance to stay up. We had a wee bit of a leg up with Hearts points deduction, but we still had to avoid 9th, and we did it. So there's a lot of love for that team for very good reason.
Joe, I vividly remember watching this. Joe, I wasn't at the game. I remember I can't remember, it was someone's birthday party it must have been. For some reason, I was at a bowling alley that day, and I wasn't happy about being there because I wanted to go to the game because it was a massive game. But for some reason, I had some commitment that I couldn't get out for whatever reason. So I was at this bowling alley, and I remember it was the one out of Braethead.
Oh yeah, I know the one.
So certainly they went 2-1 up, and then you're sort of, fuck, here we go. I remember just like I was meant to be bowling, and people were shouting at me, "Oh, come on, it's your turn!" Because I was so engrossed in the game, I was just getting the ball and just launching it. Like didn't care. Like half time I was just going straight in the gutter. I was like, all right, fine, don't care. And then obviously we had that stirring comeback, which was phenomenal. And like, to be honest, out of all the many games that I've missed for one reason or another over the years, that was always the one that stood out for me as like the one that I really wish I'd gone to. And the really annoying thing is I can't remember whose birthday party it was. I was at. But I love Tynecastle as an away day. I think it's the best away day in Scotland. You get the train through to Edinburgh. Obviously, that's fun. You get a couple of beers or whatever. Loads of great pubs around that part of Edinburgh. That's the away section as well. It's just so steep and sheer, and I love an away day at Tynecastle. And so I think to have had such a momentous result at Tynecastle, it must have been such a great day out. It really must have been. I'm sure I'd end up going out against Stephen later on that night, but certainly the game itself, that was one where I was meant to be doing something else. I was probably just being a really bad friend and just sort of ignoring what was going on, just absolutely glued to wherever it was I was able to watch this game. But I mean that was the one where I remember I was super confident going into it. Absolutely shat it when we went behind. But then I had to take a smug get when we won because I was like, never in doubt.
I know, just absolute scoosh, just the drama. I mean, it shows you, you probably were being a bad friend, seeing as you can't remember who they were, so clearly you aren't keeping in touch with them. Probably because you ghosted them at their birthday party playing bowling or something.
A night that a lot of fans are never going to forget. It's just we're back up into the Premiership after a 9-year absence, and just to win that game 4-2 away at Tynecastle, Higgy getting that winner and the fourth goal, and the celebration with that. We came back from 1-0 down, we came back from 2-1 down. It's just Gary Fraser's goal. There was so many memorable things of that night. That squad was another great squad to watch play. Higgy, Lyle Taylor, Dools, Erskine, so many great players in that team. I mean, it was just fantastic that night, and just what a win for Thistle, and just a great bit in the club's history that will not get forgotten. And as I say, the celebration for Higgy's goal, I loved Brian Higgy. Higgy was such a great player for us, and it was just such an amazing night for the club.
Just the sheer determination of that team to dig it out when they probably several times had no right to, and arguably got off the hook when Hearts missed an absolute sitter at 1-0 up. A really special night. Probably my favourite night as a Thistle fan. Like, years later, my Hearts supporting pals tease me, I'll be let you win that. It's let's see, be honest, mate, even if you did, I'm still glad you let us.
7 Archibald, 6 Archibald, 5 Archibald! Thank you for joining us on our penultimate episode of our 12 Days of Archie series here on Draw, Lose or Draw. We'll be back tomorrow with our final episode, and then on Friday with a big interview that you might have seen teased on social media, so stay tuned for that. This episode was narrated by Matt Greer and edited by David Forrest, with contributions from David Forrest, Marc Wallace, James Cairney, Jamie McDonald and Kieran Ashton. As always, stay safe and wear a mask.
Day of Christmas, Ventureless TV. 11 Archibalds, 10 Archibalds, 9 Archibalds, 11 Archibalds, 7 Archibalds, 6 Archibalds.